Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Effective Speaking Competition hosted by the 199 St. Vital Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron. I'm Major Evan Murray, the commanding officer of the squadron, and I'm going to be your host for the evening. Our cadets have been working since November 12th on developing their presentation and leadership skills through the Toastmasters Youth Leadership Program. This competition is an opportunity for them to put these skills to the test. I would like to take the time to introduce our panel of judges. We have Captain Andre Vautour, the Standards Officer at the 199 Squadron. Miss Yvette Bernat, our sponsoring committee chair. Warrant Officer Herman D'Souza, B Squadron Commander here at 199 Squadron. Mr. Warren Whitaker of the Elmwood Seniors Toastmasters Club, and Mr. Lauren Beauchamp of the Testament Toastmasters. Each judge brings with them their own insight and experience, and we thank them for their time. Our participants will enter the room one at a time to present their 5-minute prepared speech. There will be a brief pause after each presentation to allow our judges the chance to complete their assessments. At the end of the night, there will be a few comments from each of our judges. We'll provide them with that opportunity. Our first cadet is Cadet Elsie Noweke. Elsie, you may begin.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender, said Winston Churchill on June 4, 1940. Good evening, everyone. I am Cadet Elsie Noweke, and I am going to talk about how World War II changed Canada. So, I'm assuming everyone has heard about World War II, right? If you haven't, that's okay, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. World War II involved virtually every part of the world during the years 1939 to 1945. The principal hostiles during the Second World War were the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the Allies, France, United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union. When you hear about World War II, you might think of the Holocaust or the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki or the attack on Pearl Harbor. But there is a little bit more than that. This war was in many ways a continuation of World War I after a 20-year hiatus. 40 to 60 million deaths incurred in World War II, making it the bloodiest conflict and the largest war in history. So, what was Canada's duty in World War II? Their main duty was to act as convoy escorts across the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, and to Murmansk in the USSR. Canada also played a vital role in the air wars over Germany. So, what did World War II do to Canada? First, the good. Canada produced $5.8 billion from its natural resources during the war. Unemployment disappeared. The unemployment rate fell from 11.4% in 1939 to 1.4% in 1944. This was largely because Canada's job sectors grew. Other good things that happened to Canada include increased wages and family income. Advancements were made in healthcare, education, transportation, and communication. All this helped further Canada's global position. Negative impacts include the death of 42,000 Canadian soldiers and civilian soldiers, and the conscription crisis of 1944, where the Francophones did not support the idea of conscription, but the Anglophones supported the idea, affecting the unity and peace between the Francophones and the Anglophones. After the end of World War II, Canada was one of the 51 founding countries of the UN, trying to maintain international peace and security. And on April 4, 1949, Canada became one of the 12 founding nations of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the NATO, to safeguard the freedom and security of all its members by political and military means. And on December 10, 1948, the UN adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which outlines the rights and freedom everyone is entitled to. Canada also recruits peacekeepers on peacekeeping mission to maintain peace and security in third world countries. Canada's aid to developing countries is also about supporting Canada's interest in security, trade, migration, health, and economic stability. Change might be bad or good, but it is necessary. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Elsa. And we'll wait for a thumbs up from our judges to before you're ready with the next speaker. All right, if all of our judges are ready, our second speaker today will be Cadet Vendash Joshi. Vendash, you may begin.
So my topic is who I think my Canadian hero and what is his impact. Hello, my name is Cadet Vedant Joshi. Good evening. Today I will take you on an exquisite journey to tell you who I think my Canadian hero is. I think that Terry Fox is my Canadian hero because he ran for people with cancer, including him when he was born in Winnipeg and raised in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. He had cancer when he was only 18 years old. He had bone cancer in his right leg. In order to stop it his right leg was cut off on November 12, 1976. No, you must be wondering, so how he got cancer. As Fox was driving to the family home at Morrill Street in Port Quitlam, he became distracted by a nearby bridge construction and crashed into the back of a pickup truck. And that is how his journey started. In St. John's, Newfoundland, where he started his journey, not many people supported him in his marathon of hope. And as he kept running, he ran 5,000 kilometers in 18 months and had a lot of fans and also raised about $8 million toward cancer. How? Because he raised $1 for every Canadian with cancer. But in total, he ran close to 42 kilometers, 26 miles a day through Canada's Atlantic provinces. He also got a chance at an interview in a baseball game while he was in Ontario and Quebec. However, on September 1st, after 143 days, around 4 months, at 5,373 kilometers, 3,339 miles, Terry was forced to stop running outside of Thunder Bay, Ontario, because cancer had appeared in his lungs. And he died sadly, but his legacy is still alive every September. Each year, each school runs laps around their whole entire building for Terry Fox all over Canada. And in Thunder Bay, there is a statue of him, a little one out of Thunder Bay. I'm lucky because I've actually been to that statue, and it is very exciting. This is why I think that Terry Fox is a Canadian hero. Now you must be asking, what is his Canadian impact as well from schools or somewhere else? Terry ran almost all over Canada for cancer care that saved many people from cancer, and he helped them live better lives and a good one from cancer. He was also one of many people in this world with cancer, but he was also a phenomenal person who did not lose hope and fought his way to the end. And this is why I think that Terry Fox is my Canadian hero.
Thank you, Cadet Joshi. We'll again allow our judges an opportunity to gather their thoughts.
May I leave?
Yes, if you'd like, you may leave. Our third speaker tonight will be Corporal Aliona Telyadnikova.
Hello. What is diversity to everyone? Diversity is different to everybody. It is part of who we are. According to Google's dictionary, Oxford Languages, diversity is a noun that means the state of being diverse, variety, or a range of different things. It also means the practice or quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and genders into activities. I am Corporal Tsatnikova, and I would describe diversity as uniqueness, the uniqueness in every single person in our community. Diversity is the opposite of uniformity. For example, in Canada, there are a lot of diverse people from different backgrounds. There are many different types of diversity. According to multiple sources such as www.diversity.social and alliant.edu and others, there are 3 to 4 main types. The first is internal or primary diversity. Internal diversity characteristics are ones related to a person and into situations that a person is born into. There are things that a person did not choose for themselves and they're impossible for anyone to change. Here are some examples of internal diversity characteristics: race, ethnicity, age, national origin, gender identity, cultural identity, physical and mental ability. These are some things that people often discriminate others against, but there are things that we cannot change. The second type of diversity is an external or secondary diversity. The term external is used to describe things that are related to a person, but are not characteristics that a person was born with. While external diversity can be heavily influenced by other people and their surroundings, external diversity characteristics are aspects that a person can change and often does change over time. So these are things that we are born with, but we can change. Some examples include personal interests, education, appearance, citizenship, religious beliefs, location, socioeconomic relationship and familial status, as well as life experiences. The third and last type is worldview or life experiences. This last type of diversity is usually factors that we observe, feel, and experience that shape our worldviews. Even though there are a multitude of factors that come together to form our worldview, including our internal and external diversity characteristics, everyone has a worldview that they align with. Worldview diversity is another diversity type that changes over time. We see the world differently as we have new experiences and learn more about ourselves and each other. For example, an 8-year-old child would see the world differently than a 20-year-old person or a 90-year-old person. So as we travel through the world and we grow, our worldview changes as we have new experiences. Some examples of worldview and life experience diversity is political beliefs, moral compass, outlook on life, history knowledge, and cultural events. So there are 3 main types of diversity: internal diversity, internal diversity, things that we cannot change; external diversity, things that we can change; and worldview or life experiences, which are things that affect how we see the world. But why is diversity important? Diversity is important because first of all, of shared knowledge. If one person knows one thing and another person knows another thing, together they know more and they can share that experience and that knowledge. They also have different ideas, and together they have more ideas than if they were apart and worked separately. There are also different talents that people have, and when combining different talents, you can get a very, very strong and unique group. The second reason why diversity is important is because of different opinions and views. If you have many different people from different places in your group, you can have many different views and opinions, and you can learn more about each other, and you can see how other people feel. And also, third reason is, for example, if you are a manager of a big company and you want to appeal to more customers, you might want to see what other people who are different from you, who are diverse from you, might do and might need. But to me, diversity is not just the presence of people with all these different characteristics in an organization or group, but the inclusion, integration, and welcoming of these characteristics and identities. Not just the presence of these people, but visible support and learning. We are all different, and we can all improve ourselves and our community by learning from each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Corporal Teliatnikova.
Good evening. Today I will be saying what bravery means to me. What does bravery mean to me? Now that is an interesting question. Well, here is what I have to say. The dictionary definition of bravery is courageous behavior or character, but this definition does not do bravery justice. Even though this is the dictionary definition of bravery, my definition of bravery is the admirable quality of being able to confront frightening things. That is a more simple and straightforward way to explain bravery. But what does bravery feel like and what does it look like? Who are people who have shown bravery and how is bravery being shown in this pandemic? And how is bravery an emotion? Here are my answers to those questions. First, bravery does not always feel like bravery. What I mean is that bravery sometimes feels like butterflies in your stomach, sweaty hands, and a racing mind. Secondly, being brave sometimes looks like jumping out of a plane to overcome a fear of heights. Other times, it looks like doing the unexpected even though you fear the judgment of other people. Thirdly, bravery is an emotion because being brave is not about the absence of fear. It is about having the courage to be vulnerable, to press on despite fear. Bravery means letting yourself feel those emotions without letting them defeat you or change who you are. Here are some examples of people who have shown bravery and have changed the world. Harriet Tubman, leading slaves to freedom on the Underground Railroad. Martin Luther King Jr., standing up for equal rights. Joan of Arc, facing harsh criticism and burning at the stake for her beliefs. And Mother Teresa, living amongst the poorest of the poor and helping them to thrive, learn, and grow. These are only a few examples of people who have shown bravery and will. People not only have been showing acts of bravery, but people are showing acts of bravery even in this pandemic. I'm not only talking about the doctors and nurses on the front lines. I'm talking about us, me and you, people all around the world who have stepped up and are trying to make a difference. For example, a 12-year-old Rockland, New York boy made a cool Max extension. Small businesses are giving the vulnerable food and caring for them. Those are great examples. Can you think of ways you can be brave during this pandemic? I would like to share my experience on being brave. You see, I was a shy girl, and at the time, the only friend I had was my teacher. But one day, that would all change. One day, a girl walked up to me and asked if I wanted to play, and I agreed. She had a voice you couldn't say no to. And that was the day I flew out of my shell. Now I'm a well-known extrovert with a large friend group. Now, after all I have said, what do you think bravery is to you? In conclusion, bravery and courage are intertwined, maybe two sides of the same coin, and on the other side lies fear. So this means to know bravery, we need to know fear. Picture yourself in bed. A strange shadow and noise is coming from the corner of the room. What is worse, lying in bed feeling scared all through the night, or jumping out of bed to turn on the lights and see what it is? The latter is better. Be brave. Take risks. Nothing can substitute experience, Paulo Coelho said. Well, this act first requires that we show some courage to get out of bed to face whatever it is. It is the same with our fears. We could either be ruled by them, trying to keep ourselves safe by burying our heads underneath the blanket, or we can be brave, take a courageous leap, and face them, even at the risk of pain and danger, failure, criticism, and rejection. Fear is ancient. Back in the day, it used to protect us. The psychological changes that occurred in the body, increased heart rate, blood flow to our vital organs, were preparing us for fight or flight, which could inevitably save our lives from threats. These days, there are a few genuinely life-threatening events, but our minds have not evolved to differentiate. Fear can still absolutely feel life-threatening. Bravery is being the only one who knows you're afraid. Franklin P. Jones. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of rejection can feel like our worlds would end, and to a point, they do. This is what we call the breaking down of the ego. Rationally, we know we will not die, and our world will not end. But it is hard to get to ration when we are in a primal state of fear. You should also know that our minds fear everything that is not known. Our mind's job is to keep us safe and protected in the known, which in a nutshell means that anything new, including the future that is unknown to us, will produce a certain amount of fear. Just think about that for a minute. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Therefore, to be brave means first acknowledging our fears, dissecting them, shining a light on them to see that often they are not as scary as we imagine. Usually, when we shine a light on our fears, we discover them to have no more substance than a curtain blowing against a chair in the breeze. Good to know, don't you agree? Well, to sum it up, bravery is that feeling inside you that can conquer anything. That is what bravery means to me. Thank you for listening and have a good evening.
Thank you, Cadet Olowoyeye.
Hello? Do I start?
Hi, I'll introduce you in a minute. I just have to let our judges gather themselves.
Okay.
Thank you. Our fifth speaker of the night is Cadet Alan Sarkisov.
Start right. Hello, I'm Alan Sarkisov, and today I'll be talking about what we learned about the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the beginning of time, nothing has killed more human beings than bacteria and viruses. Here are just a few of the major pandemics. The Great Plague of London. This plague began in April 1665 and spread quickly through the summer months. Close to 100,000 people had died by the end of the plague. The Spanish flu. Approximately 500 million people fell ill to the Spanish flu. 1/5 of those people died. And there are so many more. It doesn't end here. The point is, the pandemic has taught us that as humans, we are very vulnerable and need to be better prepared for future pandemics. One of the first things we saw was quarantine. There's absolutely no doubt that it's been difficult staying home. A lot of us complaining about feeling bored and aimless in this quarantine. I've even seen people that it's a breach of their individual right being made to stay home. However, when it involves the greater good, we must always be willing to sacrifice just a little bit of that freedom. A balance between individual rights and public safety is always changing. The internet should be a basic right. The right to internet access, also called the right to broadband, should be considered a human right. People unable to get online, especially in developing countries, lack meaningful ways to influence global players shaping their everyday lives. Also, during times like these, it's especially important to be ready to contact family, friends, and work from home if necessary. We are all equal. Money, status, fame, and looks have no bearing on what happens to you, nor does it protect you in any way. At the end of the day, we are susceptible to the same illnesses and consequences. Learn to appreciate nature. If you live near a spacious outdoor space, like a small forest or an empty road lined with trees, you realize it's the only safe surfaceless space to take a walk in. And then you actually begin to realize the beauty of nature. What was misunderstood about quarantine was that the point is not to remain indoors, but to avoid being in close contact with others. Doctors and researchers need to be paid better. If this time has taught us anything, it's that doctors and researchers are the ones that get us out of this mess. They work day and night to drive the recovery of the world. Even right now, hundreds of scientists scramble to find a coronavirus treatment. We need to rethink how much money actors, pro athletes, and politicians make and instead pay scientists and doctors the salary they deserve. The importance of talking to friends every day. Now that we can't go out a lot and keep ourselves busy with things, the best way to combat loneliness is to be in regular contact with friends and family. by chatting over the phone or video chatting. There is no better time to have long talks and deep conversations. Remember to not forget human connection during times like these. And the last thing is, learn how to be happy alone. It's so hard for some people to just be still and do nothing. Being alone, especially for extroverts, can be exhausting and lonely, but it can also teach you a lot about yourself. You finally stop relying on other people and find out how to keep yourself busy. Many people have found new hobbies and things to do during this time, and so have I. Eventually, binge watching 3 seasons of a TV show won't be enough anymore to keep you happy. This has proved that fun things like video games and TV can eventually get boring, and you'll have to try doing something else. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Cadet, to start us off. Our sixth speaker for the night will be Corporal Ikmat Salami.
Compassionate, hardworking, independent, and courageous are some of many words I could use to describe my Canadian hero, Yolanda. She fought, she taught, she learned, and she was a hero, someone who had fought for justice and equality.
Corporal Salami, I will stop you for a second here. I think there's an issue with your microphone. I'm not sure if you need to adjust and then you'll be able to start over. So test it out and we'll start again.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. It's a little bit more faint, so I'm not sure if it needs to get a little bit closer.
Okay, yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Compassionate, hardworking, independent, and courageous are some of many words I would use to describe my Canadian hero, Yolanda. She fought, she taught, she learned, and she was a hero, someone who had fought for justice and equality. always looking up and never backing.
I'm sorry, excuse me? We still can't hear you. Captain Murray, are you still there? Major Murray?
You kind of keep cutting in and out. I think it's kind of like some kind of like, I'm not sure why, but maybe move your laptop a bit closer to you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, we just can't hear you.
Yeah, it's fine.
No,
Can you hear me now?
keep on talking.
Hello?
Cutting in and out, so we need you to speak a little more so we can tell if it's working.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Can you hear me now, or is it still a bit?
It's still cutting in and out. Do you have a headset with a microphone that you can plug in?
Yes, I do. I will get that.
Let's try that.
Hello. Can you hear me now? No?
It
It's
is
still cutting in and out.
Maybe try joining from another device. Do you think that would be something you can do?
Yes.
Okay, we'll probably just move on to the next speaker, and then you just join from another device, and then you go next. Okay, perfect.
Are we going to leave that person as person number 6, or are we going to?
We're going to leave her as number 6.
Pardon me?
We're going to leave her as number 6.
Okay.
And then we'll just go on to number 7. I'm not sure if Major Murray is here or if we'll just go ahead.
Yes, I am. I'll just get the next person lined up here.
Perfect.
Speaker number 7 for the night will be Cadet Anavi Joshi. You may begin when you're ready.
Hello, everybody, and good evening. I'm Cadet Anavi Joshi, and today I'll be talking about citizenship. I have never really thought about being a citizen too much, only because I have never concerned myself with the thought. However, today I will, and I'll make sure you do too. My question for you is, why are you a citizen of Canada? And what drives you to become or to be one? Like I said before, I've never really concerned myself with the question. So I will just tell you my answer through a story. I was not born in Canada, but I moved here when I was 5. Some new things for me were the snow, the cold weather, and of course the way people lived life. Eventually, I started school and started to learn about life here. One important thing I learned was citizenship. Wow, what a fancy word. I thought, citizenship. I remember how people would talk about how proud they were of moving to Canada and being a Canadian. I could see how that mattered to others, and then wondered if it was the same for me. After a couple of years, in 2019, I officially became a Canadian citizen. That day was probably the only day where I felt crazy filled with pride. I was super happy. I could feel my heart beating fast and my eyes glittering. My parents were also the same. They were beaming with pride, like crazy, and were very bouncy. My brother was just there. I don't know why my heart was beating so fast, or why I was so excited, but maybe that was the day I discovered how exciting it felt to be a part of something so huge. And maybe the reason I was a citizen was because I wanted to see the world and how I could make my life here in Canada, as a Canadian, into a life that would be worth living. Then another question circled my mind. Why was being a good citizen important? Why was it so good? Then I thought about it for a while. Then I realized it was so simple. If no one committed crimes or everyone was treated equally, people would change and people would trust each other more. And that would bring growth, development, and happiness to our community. So let's talk a bit about the definition around citizenship and citizen so both you and I can find our answer. The definition of citizenship means the position or status of being a citizen of a particular country. I never know the meaning of hard words like this, so I made my own. Citizenship is when you have a position in a community or country as a citizen of that place. The concept of citizenship first started in towns and the city-state of ancient Greece, where it generally applied to property owners, but not to women, slaves, or the poorer members of the society. So back then, not everyone had the right to be a citizen. And now, many people do, which is good in a way. When I joined Cadets for the first time in C, I realized how much effort our officers put into Cadets for us, to make sure that we would grow into good citizens that would serve Canada. When I began to realize this and their efforts, I was so proud and happy that there was someone out there for me to make sure that I would become a citizen that I was destined to be. I did T Cadets for 3 years, and during that time, I did many fundraisers. I sold poppies, I did spaghetti dinner, I asked for donations for cadets at the car and boat show, and each time it was bliss to do it because I got to do it with my friends, in my uniform, and as a proud citizen of Canada. Now I know that probably for you, being a citizen might be way different than my reason. That's okay, because as long as you find joy in that, then it's your reason. I hope that today you were able to find out the reason why you are a Canadian and what drives you to be one. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Cadet Joshi. And back with from the technical issues, Corporal Ikmat Salami, speaker number 6. You may begin when you are ready.
Thank you. Compassionate, hardworking, and independent and courageous are some of many words I would use to describe a Canadian hero. My Canadian hero, Viola Desmond. She thought, she taught, she learned, and she earned. She was a hero, someone who had fought for justice and equality, always looking up and never backing down. Many of her incredible acts has given possibilities beyond imagination for future generations. Good evening, I am Corporal Ikmat Salami. I will be describing a Canadian hero and the impact they have made or are making on society. As many of you know, our world and society now is very different from the past, from the beginning of slavery to the end of it. Black people weren't treated as fairly as they are being treated now. It took many years of hard work and raising voices to create awareness. Many people have helped form Canada, and I am truly grateful for the efforts and accomplishments that have been made. Making an impact in society is truly a brave and challenging task to undertake. Let me tell you a little bit about Miss Desmond, her story, what really happened that made her an impact on society. Viola Irene Davis Desmond was born July the 6th in 1914. Destined to become a teacher and focus on education, she ultimately became an influential businesswoman in the Black community in Halifax. Together with her husband, Miss Desmond opened a beauty salon and barbershop. She then expanded her business into the Desmond School of Beauty Culture to mentor young Black women in Nova Scotia. As she was attending meetings, she had to make a stop in New Glasgow due to some car trouble. After taking it to the mechanic, she then decided to use her spare time to see a movie in a local cinema. This was 1946, when she challenged racial discrimination, as she refused to leave a segregated whites-only section in the cinema. Miss Desmond was then arrested and jailed overnight with the conviction of legal representation for an obscure tax offense. Despite appealing her conviction twice, Desmond and her legal counsel were not successful in fighting the charges. In 1965, at the age of 50, Viola Desmond passed away. She had raised awareness about an important issue, but she died with a mark on her character that she did not know would be erased. In 2010, Lieutenant Governor Mayanne Francis issued Miss Desmond a free pardon. The pardon was the result of the hard work of Viola's sister, who had advocated for the cause for nearly a decade prior. Then came 2016. The Bank of Canada announced that Viola Desmond would be the first Canadian woman to be featured on the face of a banknote. The $10 bill was released on the 19th of November in 2018. This story is remarkable. The action she took has made endless possibilities. It has shown us that there is always hope and nothing is impossible. This has changed the way our society thinks about taking actions, has expanded the process on who to include, who will it affect, why is it important, and what message are they is it giving to future generations? It shows us how one person with connections can make a change, encourages society to welcome and acknowledge diversity and to not be afraid of changes, gives young people a reflection of appreciation towards many that fought for them. Creating these acknowledgements will make amends with those who have wronged the potential of Black people. Now, I don't want to leave you with just one remarkable hero in Black history, as there are many that have taken part in impacting society. Many people like Lincoln Alexander,
who is a member of the parliament, Donovan Bailey, an incredible track athlete, immigrated from Jamaica, Rosemary Brown, a strong woman who served as a member of the British Columbia's Legislative Assembly. These people have had a role in being the first Black person to do inspiring things, and certainly will not be the last. This month is Black History Month, a month to reflect on the past and present of Black heroes, a month to question, share content, and clarify misunderstandings of one another and appreciate the achievements that were made and are being made. I encourage every one of us to continue to expand our knowledge on this topic, as it has an impact to us all. I understand that society isn't perfect. It never will be. There's always new opportunities to learn and improve every single day. I see a bright future for Canada's societies. I hope you see it too. Thank you.
Thank you, Corporal Salani. Our eighth speaker for the night, Cadet Igor Telyatnikov. You may begin when you're ready.
According to kidsnationalgeographic.com, COVID-19 can be transmitted by little droplets from coughs or sneezes, which is why doctors say you should always cover your mouth and nose when you cough or sneeze. You could also pick it up by touching doorknobs or countertops that an infected person has touched, then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. Hello, I'm Cadet Igor Telyatnikov, and I will be telling you what I have learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 has taught me to appreciate what we have in the COVID-19 has taught me that I shouldn't take some things for granted, because the COVID-19 pandemic has taken away the pleasure of traveling to different countries, spending time with friends, eating at many restaurants, and many other things in life. I miss all my friends and wonder about the friends I could have gotten not for this pandemic. I also would have liked to meet my awesome teachers and classmates without their masks. Now that we are back in school, we still have to wear masks and follow the 2-meter social distancing regulation when we are not wearing them. I miss going to places like restaurants, buffets, theaters, and many other places. I have found out that different people have different opinions about wearing masks and social distancing. I've heard people in my class and school complaining about masks and other regulations. I've also seen people not following the rules outside of our school, like wearing a mask around the supermarket or the store, in the library, and so on and so on. However, I've also seen the opposite, people encouraging others to wear masks and follow rules. At school, we have to wear masks the whole day, and I strongly dislike it, but I have to put up with it because I understand that it is important. I hope the restriction to wearing masks the whole day is lifted, because at our school, our tables are already 2 meters apart, so I do not see why they would make us wear masks the whole day. Also, I learned that it is important to always remember to follow the rules, which I used to not do, and it got me into a lot of trouble. But now, I try to follow as much rules as I can, but I forget sometimes. That is okay, if there are a lot of rules. I've made a rule for myself to try to remember at least 5 more rules every day, and I find that it helps a lot. As an example, we have a lot of rules we have to follow at home, and since I made that rule for myself, I've been following more rules than I was before. However, this strategy does not always help, because many rules are grouped together and sometimes associated with one another. I fixed this problem by remembering a few of those group rules each day. Once I started doing that, all of those rules became automatic to me. COVID-19 has taught me to value what we have in life and not complain when some of those things and privileges were taken away. I've thought about this for a bit, and after so many privileges taken away from everybody, I think it would be only fair if the government let us have some of those privileges back. As I had talked about before, I miss my friends. I think that friends should not be taken away, and so the fact that I could not see them saddened me. The pandemic had a similar effect on a lot of people, and some of them have lost their jobs. COVID-19 has also had an effect on people's mental state, and research shows that approximately 7 out of 10 Canadians have had a serious mental health crisis because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, without COVID-19, my mom would not have gotten her new job because the company she was working for shut down because of COVID-19. And so my mom had to search for a new job. That is how she got her job that she has now. I also would have not met many of my classmates and friends and teachers that I have now because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I now go to a different class than I would have gone before. So, in conclusion, COVID-19 has taught me a lot of things, as has taught others as well. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Cadet Elliott-McCove.
Have you ever wondered if people are as affected as you by COVID-19?
We'll get you to just hold on there for a second. Let the judges mark down their thoughts from the last presentation, and I'll introduce you before we begin. Our ninth speaker of the night is Cadet Dmitry Telyetnikov.
Have you ever wondered if people are as affected as you by COVID-19? Well, most people are affected somehow. Hello, I'm Cadet Dmitry Telyetnikov, and I'm going to tell you what the COVID-19 pandemic has taught me and what impact it has had on me. It has taught me to follow the rules, which I admit I did not do much before. I've had problems so I did not follow the rules and I got in trouble. But now I have understood that the rules are important. Try to follow the rules as much as I can, but sometimes I forget. Think that it is okay to forget a rule if there's a lot of them. I have found that if you make a rule something to follow regularly, it helps following that rule become a habit. For example, we have a couple of rules that we have to follow at home, so I have made them something I always try to follow. I have achieved this by following one rule at a time till it was automatic and going on to the next one. This does not always help because many rules are grouped together and are often associated with one another. So what I found helped was to go through that group using the same process that helped before. Soon enough, you will develop a habit to follow the rules that are in that group automatically. COVID-19 has also shown me how close I am to friends, because when they were not there, I felt a little lost. I am sure that many others have had the same feeling or have experienced something like that. Even if we can talk virtually, it is still not the same as without restrictions. Now that we are in school, we still have to follow social distancing regulations, and we still have to wear masks. I remember we can just talk and play and be close together. It really meant a lot to me. Hope that with everything going to code orange, some of these strict restrictions are going to be lifted. That would really boost everybody's morale and help a lot at school.